Quick little 50 ball. You said I'm a controversial dude? How so? Explain to me. What's so controversial? You feel me? I think that's a weird thing to say about a man, to be honest. But that's on you. I think that's a weird thing to say about a man. Controversial. I don't think men can really be controversial unless you're intentionally trying to be. I think it's just being a man. Say what you want to say. Stand on what you stand on, regardless of what the public is on. To me, I don't think it's being controversial. I think it's being yourself. You know what I'm talking about? But I don't know what the hell that means. What I'm working on right now is, I'm gonna let my heart rate come down before I start speaking, which I'm gonna give you all a good lesson on communication. And we're about to open up the mentorship back week to week, which means every single week we're giving you confidence, masculine, feminine lessons, communication, and world building. And I'll give y'all my cognitive stat that I do to keep my brain at a higher level. So what I came with was the way the financial literacy wave came in on the black community during 2020, right, was everybody jumped in and people had time to focus and time to think. And while he was going through fear, we was looking for a savior. So we felt maybe this is a time for me to focus on the things that I never do. Maybe this is what's going to save me during that time. So we've seen a rise in new financial advisors, educators, and people in that space. Just entrepreneurship itself bloomed. And y'all know InvestFest is coming up. What we don't have yet, right, and what a lot of communities is already doing is we don't have our wellness boom happening, right, in the black community and in the culture. And that's what I want to be at the forefront of, a cognitive wellness social renaissance, but we also add tech into it. So eventually we're going to be doing the Supermind Fest. Y'all mark my words here. And I have a large vision for that because I think that wellness is the future of wealth, right? When people measure wealth in the future, especially as, prices of things go down due to automation, right? There's not going to be that many jobs. I think the way you feel, the way you present yourself, right? Your cognition, like literally biohacking and wellness is going to be the key. And the people who have it the worst in America is our community. So we need to really focus on wellness, right? And rest, right? As our key focus, because if we get our minds right and our bodies right, everything else will follow, I promise you. And the original man had knowledge of herbs. He had knowledge of the earth. He had knowledge of the cosmos. He knew how to take care of himself. He knew how to stimulate himself when necessary. Modern man has lost that ability, and that's why we're so sick. So, let me go ahead and get some more while I'm yapping. So, no, I'm not standing them all the way. I'm only going to do push-ups the way I want to do them. If they're not the right ones, they're the keys ones. And then all of a sudden they become my version of them. Because sometimes I do shorties, sometimes I do full extension, sometimes I do on the knuckles, sometimes I do incline, sometimes I do, the pyramids. You feel me? Sometimes we do some burpees. You feel me? Like sometimes we put the weight on the back where we might have 4-5 plates. We just get them in. I think all of that extra focusing on form comes into it, but I think the function to me is just getting it done. You know what I'm saying? Form comes into it more to where these not even the best workouts. The best workouts is when you connecting your full body in it. And that means that your body has fascia. So underneath this we have a fascia system, which is basically like a whole entire network you understand me, of electrical wiring, you understand me, on the body that gives you energy and it connects the body. But a lot of times in the gym we do movements like this, but in real life we don't move like this, right? In real life we move around, and all of these systems are supposed to be connected and move as one, right? And so sometimes when you are doing this and you're going to the gym crazy, you end up having to use your actual muscle. But if you was to activate the fascia system, the more you jump and more you pump it up, the more electric energy you get. So therefore you can actually go longer, you know what I mean, having a form that connects your body. That's why like in Tai Chi, right, and a lot of karate practices, it connects the full chi of the body. And so a lot of people don't work out like that whatsoever. So you really want to activate that fascia system in the body, right? So sometimes I'm grabbing the power cords and we moving like this. You feel me? So it's activating all of this because all of these systems are connected. But when we work out, we start isolating these muscles. And the movements that we do are so isolated to a point where you're only using energy from one part instead of using energy from the whole. So when you move around, your body feels disconnected, right? So another thing I do is I grab me a towel, because sometimes I used to feel a disconnection between my knee and my joints. And remember, your body is an electrical system. So I grab a towel and I clench my toes real tight. And what that does is it reconnects the muscles that go all the way up here to the glutes, right? So now my legs feel more connected. You feel me? Swimming is something that does that really well. You feel me? So you want to make sure that as you're working out, you understand what it means to be a human, right? And what it means to be a human is understanding your lymphatic system, understanding fascia, right? Understanding movements. There's a lot of guys who are socially, or not socially, but who are impotent. Guys with a lot of stomach like this, all of that's going on, you understand me? That ain't good. Especially when it comes to your woman and pleasing your woman, you feel me? Because the muscle that connects from here connects all the way down here. So when you got a six-pack, pulls you up straight. Anyway, y'all not ready for all those lessons, but I'm just giving you the game. We gotta get that in. My reward afterwards is gonna be some of these prebiotic chocolates. Chocolate is a good heart opener. As we go through Solar Cycle 25, it affects your heart rhythm and things of that nature. So you really want to strengthen your heart during these times. So I don't eat meat per se, but I also don't have a strictness against it like a lot of people, and maybe I should, and maybe I will. What I'm really against is low quality meat of any kind, right? Because I eat some lamb sometime, some salmon, right? When I was in Japan, I'm gonna keep it a buck, I tore some Wagyu up. I mean, I was Wagyuing. You feel me? I was Wagyuing. I was going crazy. But that Wagyu, it chewed like bubble gum. You know, it was good. It was different. You feel me? But they treat them cows better than we treat human beings in America. They get massages and spas. You could tell they had a really good life. And I enjoyed the end of that, and they sustained my life. Man, that Wagyu was so good. Oh my God. Woo. But when I travel outside, I get myself outside America, I have less restrictions on what I can and cannot eat. Because life is about cycles. It's really not about restrictions. It's about cycles when you understand it. Man start giving himself restrictions. You feel me? Because he didn't understand life. So it's like when somebody doesn't understand something, you just tell them what to do, right? But the goal is for them to also get into a natural order of function to the point of understanding. Because first you get information, you get knowledge, wisdom, then understanding. There's a process. So some things we're wise in, some things we're just informed in. When it comes to food, life, and bioawareness, most of us have some information and knowledge, right? But we don't have true wisdom and understanding. So wisdom and understanding says that You can tell what healthy living is regardless of what it looks like. Healthy living does not need a name. You don't have to be a vegan to be healthy, right? That's more of a philosophy. That's an identity more than it is an actual meaning to be healthy. You can be a meat eater and still be healthy and live longer and live a greater life than people, but you do have to have the understanding of knowing what's a healthy life and what's not, right? Like somebody that burns a lot of calories per day doing hard tasking work, working construction, working farming, in their environment, right? They can eat different things, right? But life is about knowing when to cycle on and cycle off, right? And the problem is human beings stop living within cycles because we have everything so easy. So nature never changed. Nature stayed the same the whole time that humans have been here, except where we've toxically poisoned it. So if we're looking at nature having the ability to sustain itself and regenerate, why do human beings change so much? We're eating foods from all across the planet Earth that's not in our local bio environment. So that was never a thing at first. Human beings had to travel, then bring food, then import, export, then learn how to do flash freezing. And when flash freezing happened, that means that we can take meat and foods from one part of the planet Earth, and then we can actually export it to another part of the planet Earth, because what it gave us was time. And that changed the way women were inside the homes, right? Because now they can cook dinners that was frozen, and they used to spend hours cooking. And food was dirtier. Food had more toxins in it because Americans really did not know proper sustaining of life, because the Africans knew it, the Native Americans knew it, you understand me? The people who was indigenous knew it because they lived with the land. So when they imported some of the slaves from the Congo, right, and Ghana and different places, Ivory Coast, they had knowledge of agriculture and farming, right, and herbs and medicine and food already. This is why those who are in bondage knew how to whip up recipes. It was to the point where they would serve their master's coffee, but the slave was never able to drink coffee. It was sometimes held reserved as like a super special luxury benefit that they'd get, but for the most part, they never got it. So the slave, there's interesting books on this, where the slave sometimes would actually take leftovers and they would figure out a way to at least get what the taste of coffee was like. So imagine this whole time something that can actually help stimulate you and help you work better. But they never cared about your health, so they never gave you anything to make their workers more sustainable, because they didn't care about your life, right? They will stuff you, make you big sometime, but they wasn't trying to be the ones that trained you up and gave you the strength. They'd say, oh, he's big, so they'd look at your biology already. But they wasn't trying to optimize your biology, right? So this is where I look at it today like, damn, I remember for 500 years, or however many years brothers was in slavery and brothers was fighting in wars, they couldn't even taste a coffee like this. They on a hard, arduous journey. You feel me? And they couldn't get a sip of coffee to wake them up and stimulate their mind. And there was revolutions that happened when coffee beans were introduced, because people started having renaissances. You had a pick-me-up, and all that was those people getting back in tune to utilizing plant medicine and nature. And then today, we overstimulate ourselves. Oh, let me get some. I'm yapping again. We overstimulate ourselves with, like, let's say weed, right? We smoke, and that's about the most plant medicine we know. Because we're looking for something to take the edge off, to help us with anxiety, because it has cannabinoids in it and things of that nature. But we have way more knowledge than that, right? We knew what to smoke, when to smoke it, when things would be in season, when they wouldn't be in season. So the earth provided, and our knowledge of how to move and cycle with the earth allowed us to consistently be regenerative, to where we know when to eat, how to make cures for every ailment that we ever had.